Okay, in this video I'm going to go through some troubleshooting guides to try to help you figure out if there's a problem after you've installed Genie Voice Command. Okay, the first thing you need to look at is after you've installed Genie Voice Command and you've started Maya for the first time since you've installed Genie Voice Command, if you had Maya open while you were installing it, you wouldn't be seeing this voice control menu. And the reason you wouldn't be seeing that voice control menu is that if you install Genie Voice Command while Maya is open, you're installing into the scripts folder, and Maya only looks into that scripts folder one time when you're first starting Maya, when you first start it up. After it's open, if you put anything in that scripts folder, Maya won't know it's there. So that's why, if that's step one, if Maya was open when you installed it and you don't see this voice control, close Maya and restart Maya. Okay, then most likely you'll see this voice control menu file or menu appear. Okay, if you've done that and you still don't see this menu, voice control menu, most likely what the issue is there's a problem with your user setup mel. Okay, now your user setup mel, remember, we had installed it, you install it in your scripts folder. Okay, so you want to make sure that you installed it in the proper place in the scripts folder, which is, this is my documents, Maya, and then the year, in this case, this is Maya Lite, Maya LT 2017, and inside the inside the 2017 LT folder is a scripts folder, and that's where you're supposed to be installing Genie Voice Command. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to look inside that scripts folder and look to see if you have a user setup mel, and then if you do, you want to right mouse click on it and open with either Notepad or WordPad or whatever word processing program that you have. Okay, now once you're in the user setup, you want to make sure that this line has been added to the bottom of the user setup mel. So you may have other third-party plugins that you've installed, and they'll be above it. They'll be above this line because this is the last thing you installed, was the voice control menu mel. If you don't see the source, source voice control.mel, there was a problem. Either you didn't tell the setup program the correct folder when you installed it, or just something went really wrong. Maybe you tried to run it without having administrator privileges. You didn't run it as an administrator, but those are just some of the reasons why you might not have it. Let's see. Maya, let's go back to here. When you first install Maya and you haven't installed any third-party plugins, this scripts folder here will be completely empty. There won't be a user setup mel. My setup program creates a user setup mel if there's none there. Okay, now another possibility could also be that one of your other third-party plugins, I've seen this happen, other third-party plugins are not loading properly. So because the mel scripts start from the top and they go down, if the other third-party plugins that were installed before Genie Voice Command higher up do not load for some reason, say you accidentally deleted a file that was necessary for them to load or something like that, then the whole mel script stops. Where it stops, it doesn't continue on, so it wouldn't have gotten to this part. I've seen that happen. So if that's the case, either you'll have to figure out how to fix those third-party plugins so that they do load. And the way you can know is when you start up Maya if you open up your scripts editor, and scroll through this history window, you'll see an error. Let's see. Like here's an error, and it has to deal with my voice control menu. It's saying that it can't find a set nCloth map type. Now that's there because this is Maya Lite, and Maya Lite does not allow for that type of nCloth type. So that's why it got an error in my voice control menu now. But that didn't stop the voice controller from loading. Okay, that type of error won't. But if you have a third-party plugin and you see other errors, and you see that your third-party plugin is not loading and there's an error, that will stop this user setup mail. When it gets to that third-party plugin, it stops working, says error, and it doesn't continue on to load the rest of whatever's below it. And since Genie Voice Command was the last thing you added, it will, this line of code that tells it to do that voice control menu, it won't load. Okay, so that could be the possibility. Another possibility is, I don't know why Autodesk has decided to abandon the scripts folder at times. At least this is what it appears to be in Maya 2017, is that sometimes Maya will have a preference folder inside the scripts folder. Inside that preference folder, you can find a user setup mail. I've had people tell me that. I've had one customer who her user setup mail was not inside the version, the year scripts folder. It was actually inside the Maya folder scripts folder. It was actually in here, which I don't know why. If Autodesk decided in 2017 to do it that way, because this Maya folder serves all versions of Maya, no matter how many you have installed on your computer. I have from Maya 8.0, very old, to 2014. I've rented 2016 in the past, and Maya 2016 Lite, and 2017 Lite, and 2016 Lite. 16.5 Lite, 16 Lite. I mean, these are all versions, and Maya 8.0 64-bit. This is 32-bit. I mean, these all are serviced by the same Maya folder. I don't understand how Autodesk is going to understand. If you put the user setup mail in here, because each version of Maya has a different user setup mail, depending on what plugins you've installed and this and that. So it's really confusing to me as to why they decided to put the user setup mail in this scripts folder. Because this Maya user setup mail, and this Maya folder and this scripts folder services, all of the different Mayas, So if you have a user setup mail in here, and then you have installed a different version of Maya, like say when they come out with 2018, it's going to be looking at the same folder, and it's going to be looking for the same user setup mail. But if you have different plugins installed in each, third-party plugins, how is it going to know what user setup mail to use? Now that might simply have been, maybe Autodesk didn't do that, and maybe my customer accidentally did something wrong when she installed it, or had a third-party plugin that installed a user setup mail, and then set some sort of, I think there's an environmental setting that you can set to have it point to a different folder other than the Maya scripts, other than this scripts folder that's inside the version year. I think there is a Maya environmental thing. Let's open this up, take a real quick peek. Open with WordPad. Well, this happens to be blank. But I think there's code you can add to the Maya environmental to override the scripts folder here, and so that when you start up Maya, it looks into a different folder. I think I remember hearing about that or reading about that somewhere a long time ago when I was reading about third-party plugins. There might be a reason why somebody who created a third-party plugin didn't want to use the scripts folder, and maybe that's why my customer's user setup mal is in a different folder, is in her Maya scripts folder, and like I said, I've had other people tell me that it was in their year folder, preference folder was the user setup mal, was where theirs was. Very weird, very weird. And they were on 2017, so I am completely baffled. The user setup mal has always been inside the year and the scripts. So, what would happen if you had your user setup mal and it was in a different folder other than the year and the scripts? Now, my one customer that I walked through the installation process, what she found was when she started up Maya, the voice control menu was there, but her third-party plugin that her other user setup mal that was in the other scripts folder was not being accessed. So there was a third-party plugin that was dependent on that user setup mal in that other scripts folder, and it didn't load. It looks like at least Maya will use this user setup mal if it's inside the year scripts folder over a user setup mal that is inside the Maya scripts folder. So if you have a third-party plugin that is not working after you install Genie Voice Command, that's one of the things you're going to want to check, is to open up the user setup mal and see if it's in there. At first, my customer thought that my setup program had deleted her third-party plugins code in the user setup mal. But I knew it didn't, because I know what my setup script does, and it will not override something. It will simply add to the user setup mal if there's one in there. If there's not a user setup mal in the scripts folder, it creates the user setup mal, and then it adds this line of code to it. But like I said, her user setup mal was actually in a weird place, not where Maya had traditionally always had it. So that's something to keep in mind. How you fix that is I would suggest highlighting the other user setup mal in that other folder, and then just pasting it I would just hit enter, and then I would just paste it in underneath here so that it runs this code first, and then runs the other third-party plugins. So that's how you would handle that situation. Let's see. So let's say yours was in your preference folder. Same thing. If for some real weird reason your user setup mal was in here, you could open it up in a word processing program, copy it, and then with the regular year scripts user setup mal, where where this is, you could paste it just below this voice control. Just make sure it's on a separate line. So if you have to, you hit enter. And it doesn't have to be right next. You can have a bunch of space in between. It doesn't matter if there's spaces in between, and then paste it. If it makes it easier for you to visualize which is which, that's fine. And then just hit save. And just make sure if you open it up in Microsoft Word, not WordPad, but Microsoft Word, and you try to save it, sometimes it'll save it not in a .mel format. It will save it in like a rich text format. I always tell people to use Microsoft Word. I mean, either don't use Microsoft Word, use WordPad or Notepad, and then just save it. Even in Notepad, it might ask, make sure you want to save this in this format, to say yes. Okay, so that's the user setup now. Okay, so let's see some of the other problems that you might run into. Okay, if you've never used a microphone or headset with your computer before, it could be that even if you see the voice control menu, even if Genie Voice Command starts up and you see the little window that pops up with Genie Voice Command, and you start to try to give it commands, your microphone might not be set up properly. So if that's the case, it's real easy. All you do is you go to your control panel, and then you go to speech recognition, and then you can come up here to set up microphone. Okay, and you would pick what type of microphone you have. Oops. What happened there? That was weird. You would pick what type of microphone you have. I'm actually using a clip-on microphone, not a headset microphone, but this is fine, it's close enough. And then you would, what is going on? Set up microphone next. And then you position, and you just follow the online instructions. I don't know why that keeps changing on me. I'm not pressing anything. But anyway, so you don't need to start speech recognition. I would highly, highly recommend, after you get Genie Voice Command, going through this training, train your computer to better understand you. Just click on it and follow the online instructions, and which is you just simply read what the sentence is. Speech is the main way people bond and learn from each other. The way we speak affects the way we communicate with each other. And then you can pause it to pause it. It takes about 10 minutes to go through this. You can see the the beginning here, the process to the end. I go through it at least twice, and that will allow the computer to recognize your voice better. Let's see. This is another good thing to know about, is advanced speech options. Here's another possible problem. Okay. Here's another possible problem, is your language. Make sure it's set to US English. You see, I can have it set to UK or US. You want to be set to US English. That's the best way it works. Even if if it's not working at all in UK, if you're in the UK and it's not working, try switching it to US English. I've had it switched to UK and it didn't work, the speech recognition at all. I don't know if it's that maybe because the rest of my computer is set to US English. So if you have a UK, if you're in the UK and your computer's all set for a UK, and you can try the UK. If not, try switching it to US English. Okay. Here's also where you can see the microphone levels. you know, you can see here, it doesn't have to be a lot, but this is plenty enough for speech recognition. It doesn't have to be pegging the meter over here in order to get it, but you got to see at least some green when you're speaking in the microphone. If you get a new microphone, you might want to create a new profile. These are profiles, so if you have, say you have several different people using the computer and they're all using the speech recognition at different times, you might want to create a profile for each of you and then train the profile for each of you. The training is the same training as to get the computer to better understand you. I had to create different profiles for different microphones that I was using. When I got a brand new microphone, my old microphone, and my new microphone, you know how different microphones can make your voice sound different. So I created a new profile for different microphones. So you just click new and then you give it a name and then you do the training. Okay. Let's see. Microphone? No, let's not do that. Advanced. There was something. Maybe it's not that one. Audio inputs. Okay. For audio inputs, if you're still having trouble, because certain microphones, no matter how much you boost the mic, or I should say, no matter how much you try to adjust. If it keep on, say you keep doing the configure microphone and it keeps saying, I can't hear you, I can't hear you, I can't hear you, and you've gone into, you need to boost up the sound, you know. What you do is you come here into recording and you select the microphone that you're using, which is this, has a check mark next to it, and you so you select it there and you click properties, and then you come over here to levels, and then you can boost the microphone. You know, here's where you can increase the recording level of the microphone. But I found the best way is to keep it around 14 and to do a boost here to boost the microphone. Now, a lot of microphones, depending on the manufacturers and the drivers that they had for those microphones. I'm using a Sony microphone. It's a clip-on microphone. Its drivers happen to have a boost, so I was just able to boost it by 20 decibels, and that allows the computer to hear it very, very well. But if you don't have this, increase the volume of the microphone here. You know, it's on 14, and if I see, as I put it up, see the green moving quite a bit, you could do that. But sometimes you might have it pegged all the way and it's still not hardly showing at all, and then you might still have to do a boost. So, but mine was set at 14, so I'm just going to put it back there because that's the way it works the best. So those are some of the things that might be causing you the program not to work properly. Like I said, especially when you go to these advanced, you should be seeing a little bit of green over here when you're talking into the microphone. Okay, so those are pretty much the troubleshooting tips that I can come up with for reasons why Genie Voice Command might not be working. Like I said, make sure you had ran it as an administrator. This is Genie Voice Command installation program. Make sure you had clicked on it and ran as administrator. And then when it asks you, that you clicked yes. And if you're on Windows 10, I think you have another thing you have to click on to say, yes, I really do want to run this program. So make sure that you installed it as an administrator. Make sure that if you had Maya open at the time, make sure that when you had Maya open, if you had Maya open at the time that you installed it, that you close Maya and restart it, and hopefully this menu will be there. If that still doesn't, then you're going to have to most likely, look into the scripts folder. The year scripts folder, and look for your user setup mail. If you have other third-party plugins, there's going to be most likely more files in your scripts folder. In fact, Genie Voice Command installs several files as well into this folder. So I left those files out just so that it was less cluttered, so that you could see this user setup mail. I didn't want to confuse people. But this is what you want to look for. You want to open it up. You could open up Notepad if you want to. It doesn't really matter. It's very simple. And look to make sure that line is there. And we already went over the different possibilities of it being in different folders and what to do. That seems to be always the reason. Those are the reasons that I've always run across from customers when they've had problems. Those seems to be the very most common reasons why Genie Voice Command may not have loaded properly. So I hope you stuck it through. I hope if you were having problems that this video has shown you possible solutions for fixing the problem. And if you still have, always feel free to contact me through the support system. And I am more than happy to help you out if you're having problems still with installing and getting Genie Voice Command to work correctly. So thank you very much, and thank you for purchasing Genie Voice Command, and we'll see you in the next video.